Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Basham Awashai Bahasham Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, the Israelite foreigners among the heathen that look like the heathen, and to the few akwaf that are listening and learning, all right, to that 144,000 and the elect. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson. And this is a book, not a book, but a movie that's come out, and it seems I think Jay-Z may have been behind it, and you can see this coon with the bald face with the razor to his head, blaspheming the word of the Lord. All right, it's always a Christian by doing so, not following the law, not knowing what he's talking about. Now, I haven't seen this movie for this guy to be saying it's blasphemous and all that. I haven't seen it. I don't know anything about it. But one thing that I do know is that it's aesthetically correct. This would be the actual Israelites, and these would be the actual Romans. All right, the Edomite Romans. Okay, the Edomites were the ruling class people in Jerusalem during this time of the Lord, during the time of the apostles and the disciples. And you had two sets. You had then you also had the Jewish, the converts, the Edomite converts, who looked just like this Roman soldier. Another thing that they're not showing you, because they're showing you the Romans being so-called white, which is correct, which is true. Not only were they so-called white, but they were the Edomites, proving that the Edomites today are the same people that as the Romans, that they try to say are done away with, because those Edomites that are spread all over Europe were all once Roman citizens. All right, they are not the Scots, they're not the Celts, they weren't the Galatians, they weren't the Etruscans. All those, all those people that I mentioned were all melanated people until the Edomites took it over. All right, and I'm going to provide scriptural evidence and other evidences to prove everything that I'm saying. But let's go to the scriptures. Speaking on the kingdom of Judah, the Israelites. All right, because you got to remember John Hyrcanus, during the time of the Maccabees, prior to the Lord, forcibly converted a bunch of Roman Edomites, all right, that like this guy here, in the second image, all right, to follow in the law, statutes, and commandments, and thus began a portion of the Edomites, a portion of humanity that began to be called Jewish. And you have to also think too, these same Jewish Edomites fought alongside with the Israelites, the house of Judah, against the Roman army, which consisted of so-called blacks and whites, in all the many nations. The Romans, just like in America, gathered all people to themselves. But just like in this society and that society, the Edomites were in power. Okay, so it's important to know these things. Before I start reading, just to get an understanding of what was going on here, because they're showing you the Romans as being all white, and then they're showing you the Judeans as being all black. But the truth of the matter is, you had white converts that were Jewish, and then you also had the Israelites that were in the Greekish fashion, the Israelite foreigners, the Hellenists, the Hellenista, all right? Like talked about in Acts, the 6th chapter, the first verse, and in Acts, the 9th chapter, the 29th verse, all right, when it said a murmuring of the Grecians against the Jews. No, well, that was the Israelite in the Greek fashion murmuring against the Judeans. All right, it wasn't, that's what was going on there. But let me get the scripture. This first and foremost describing the Israelites, the house of Judah, which was made up of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which are erroneously called the Jews, because they don't make their separation between the Jews and the Judeans. All right. The Jews being the Jewish and the Judeans being the Israelites. All right. Clarence and his gang being the Judeans, if you will. All right. But this is Jeremiah 14:2, and it reads, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. So the Bible just, I'm going to give you 3 precepts. Clearly gives you the description of the Israelites being a dark flesh people all throughout the Bible. Matter of fact, the Heavenly Father and our King and Savior as well. All right. That was Jeremiah 14:2. Let's go to Lamentation, which is one of my favorites, 4:8. It makes it beyond clear. And it says, their visage, meaning when you look upon them, is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It has become like a stick. All right. So they were, very, very dark. The Israelites. All right. Dark as a coal, many of them. They came in all different shades. All right. So now that we've read that, let's go to one more scripture. Let's go to Job 30:30. All right, and it reads, my skin is black upon me, my bones are burned with heat. So it's telling you that these Israelites, the Bible identifies their skin as being dark. All right, and when you go to Jeremiah 14:2, the Hebrew word for black is kodar. You got to remember, you go to the blue letter, to the Strong's Concordance, every word in the Bible is numbered. All right, and then it's numbered, and it gives you either the Hebrew origin of the word, or it gives you the Greek origin of the word and what it means. And that word black in Jeremiah 14:2 is kodar, which means dark skin. All right. So aesthetically, this movie was very accurate and very correct. All right. Outside of the dreads and stuff like that, Israelites would never have worn dreads. That was a Hamite, a different dark race. That was their thing. All right. The Israelites didn't do that. All right. At least the ones who were keeping the heritage. The ones that were in the Greekish fashion, who knows? They were tattooed up, talking like Romans, walking like Romans, acting like Romans. All right. So just to give you a brief history, what happened here was after the fall of Jerusalem, all right, and you fast forward into the future, barely 300 years into the future, Rome fell. And Rome became the Holy Roman Empire, and it was no longer the pagan Roman Empire. And that's when all these dark soldiers that were the ruling class people in Rome, all these soldiers, they rose up and took over, which is why there's so much hatred between Esau and Jacob. Why? Because you think about it, man. Why do you think that they chose the people that went into slavery starting in the 1500s? All right, when Christopher Columbus sailed in 1492, the slave trade started immediately with the Israelites that were over here in the Americas. All right, and the few that were still remaining in that were taken into captivity, and when Spain and Portugal fell, the kingdom of the Moors. Because remember, the Moors are also Israelites. The only difference is that the Moors chose Islam as their religion. But the word Moreno, which the Moor can be traced back to, it tells you in the etymology dictionary online that a Moreno was also identified as a Jew. All right, or the Judean, and you're looking at images of Judeans, actual Judeans. All right, and the Bible gave you the breakdown of what they look like. So outside of the story, like I said, I can't speak on the story with this Christian in picture number 3. All right, this the one who's clearly don't know nothing, with his with the razor to his head. All right, but the imagery is correct. All right, that's for sure. So when Rome fell, the Edomites that were remaining prior, for the whole time of the Dark Ages, they were pushed up into the Caucasus Mountains. You could also find that in Job. This is Job, the 30th chapter. And I'm going to start at verse 1 and read to about 11. And it reads, but now they that are younger than I have me in derision. All right, meaning now, because the Edomites rose again, in the Renaissance. They came back into power. They started coming back into power in the late 1300s. All right, and then by the time, the end of the 1400s, Esau had come fully back into power. All right, that was that dragon that was wounded. The Roman army, there was red cloaks. They were referred to as the red dragon. They were wounded, but didn't die. That's in the scriptures. All right, but back into Job 30 and 30, it says, but now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers would have I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock, because Esau pop your dogs, his women and his men. All right, it says, yeah, whereto might the strength of their hand profit me, in whom, let me turn this ringer off. It says, yeah, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished. For want and famine was solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in a former in time desolate of waste, who cut up mountains. So they were pushed up there. The Israelites forced them up into the Caucasus Mountains. So the Israelites forced the Edomites up into the Caucasus Mountains, and the Edomites later on, at this point, they became Caucasians. All right, because they got pushed up into them caves. All right, which they felt at home, because they also lived in the caves of Mount Seir and Petra. All right, before they came down out of there and got dominion, got the rule. All right, but it says, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. They that were driven far from among men, they cried after them as after a thief. And they're images of the knights, of black knights, dark men with knights that look like these two men with the afros in knighted suits, in armor with swords and shields, forcing the Edomites up into the mountains. The images of that from the Dark Ages. All right, it says, I've seen them. I wish I could, if I ever find them, I'm definitely going to use them and do a lesson. But it says, they were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Caucasian means cave dweller, the only people who ever lived in caves. All right, as a people. All right, for generation after generation after generation was the Edomites. No other nation, no other race of people did that. All right. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together, which always makes me think of the movie Quest for Fire. All right. And I remember when I was in high school, I think in my sophomore year, we had to watch Quest for Fire. All right. And then they tried to push that, this was 10,000+ years ago or whatever. And literally that was during the Dark Ages. And that history is very shameful until Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. He doesn't want you to know that. That's why he pushed this white superiority doctrine, this Darwinism doctrine, which is all theory and lies. All right. And then push millions of years and all this other stuff, because then he can hide behind all those lies, and people are far from the truth. It says they were children of fools, children of base men. They were viler than the earth, and now I am their song. I am their byword. They abhor me. They flee far from me, and spare not to spit in my face, because he have loosed my cord and afflicted me. They have also loosed and bridled before me. So they loosed their cords from us, and now their cords are attached to us. But the Lord is breaking it right in front of their face. So some people say, hey, Malcolm, that's not true. No, it is true. Here's some evidence. This right here is a German tapestry, all right, from the 1500s, 1440, all right? Black Central Europe. Why is this history not taught? Because this solidifies exactly what I said. And you see these white men dressed like trees with sticks, all right? These Quest for Fire dudes running out of the forest down from the mountains and coming at this castle. Well, I always tell you that so-called black men built the castles. They built the castle. They built Florence. They built all those castles that were in that were, all throughout Scotland, England, and Ireland with the unhewn stone. Everything that's cut and hewn, that was Esau, Edom. That's why once the so-called black people were pushed away, all these black people that are different shades of brown, if you would really look and focus on them, let's see if we can make that even bigger. Well, no, that actually went into it. Yeah, explain this. That's St. Maurice right there. But let's go back. It says the wild men and the Moors. I wonder if it, see? The wild men, because I watched that movie, Norseman, and what Esau Edom does, that's the actual king and queen in that castle. All right, this one right here. Okay, that's them. Yeah, you can even see it better. You can see different shades of brown too. Light brown, dark brown, light brown, lighter brown, dark. All right, the Negroes come in different shades of brown. You see these men with garments. They come down to their feet with fringes at the bottom, with mitres on. These were Israelites, and this is what what's his name? Ben Franklin was complaining about when he was talking about the Germans and all the Europeans were black, so-called black, the Dark Ages, medieval times. But yet every TV show you see on Netflix and on TV, the Last Kingdom, the Vikings, they always showing you the kings of Europe is so-called white people. That's a lie. This tapestry which they ignore, these evidences which they ignore, is proof of it. All right? Okay? As a matter of fact, let's read some of that letter. From Ben Franklin's observations concerning the increase of mankind, 1751. In the last paragraph 24 at the bottom. I'll begin reading. It says, which leads me to add one remark. The number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. All of Africa is black or tawny. What you're looking at are black and tawny people. If you can see the cursor, all right? You can screenshot it and then zoom in on them. Black and tawny, very dark skin, chocolate to very light brown to brown, all right? They will call yellow in some cases, all right? Asia chiefly tawny, all right? America exclusive the newcomers, talking about the whites, wholly so. So he said America was tawny, black and tawny, all right? You got this argument about all the Indians being so-called black. They were tawny too. It says, and in Europe, the Spaniards, the Italians, the French, the Russians, the Swedes are generally what we call swarthy complexion. If you didn't know, this is a swarthy complexion. All right? So let's read that again. Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, Swedes are generally what we call a swarthy complexion. All right? As are the Germans also. All right? This is in his letter. This is Ben Franklin's letter. All right? So these swarthy people, royal families, all right, were fighting against these wild men. And what Esau Edom did, like in that movie Norseman, he took the wild man history and he mixes it with Viking history. And he makes, the Vikings just barbaric and crazy and, run around on all fours like a dog and all this other crazy mess. That was really Edomites. So they mixed those two histories together and caused confusion because the Vikings were not so-called white people. All right? They were actually brethren to the Scots, the Irish, the et cetera, the actual Brits. All right? Because Esau Edom calls himself a Saxon when he's an Edomite. Let's prove it, okay? The Roman Empire of the Edomite. There's the cover of the book. And what is it showing you? It's showing you the Romans sacking, the Roman Edomites sacked Jerusalem and took all our holy things. All right, the menorahs, the horns, all this gold they took to themselves. All right, the Roman Empire of the Edomites. So it's showing you when they put up like an Ark of Titus, that's evidence against them. All right, that's complete and total evidence against them. Unless that you know, earth bear witness with things that they dig up, certain things that they built. You know, is that Psalms? I think it's 85 and 11. Yep, Psalms 85 and 11, and it reads, "Truth shall spring out of the earth, and righteousness shall look down from heaven." So certain archaeological digs, and this undeniable thing from William Beeston's book, The Roman Empire of the Edomite by William Beeston. All right, and I'm actually holding that book in my hand. All right, and it tells you on page 7 and 9 that it was found in the Jewish Targums, those same convert Edomites, all right, who were following the law, statutes, and commandments. It tells you right there in their writings that the Romans descendants are descendants from Esau, page 9. It says that this grand secret was certainly discovered and disclosed more than 1,200 years ago. And the true answer to the question, whence came the Romans? All right, you're looking at Romans that sacked Jerusalem during the fall of Jerusalem. All right, this was the Ark of Titus, and these images are built. So those were Edomites. All right, that was the Edomite kingdom. Okay, which is still in rulership today. America was born out of Britain, and all that is Rome 2.0. All right, it says that the true answer to the question, whence came the Romans, may have been returned and even registered in writing before the birth of Hamashiach, that the response proceeded neither from the Greek nor Roman, who were also Edomites, by the way, but from the despised Jew, that it has, and that's, you know, that's talking about those converts, that it has been preserved to us in the Jewish Targums, that it exists, because, man, that's kind of William Beeston, just, you know, this scholar from the 1853, why he dissing the Jews like that? But it says that it has been preserved to us in Jewish Targums, that exist amidst the fables and impieties and absurdities and blasphemies of the Jewish Talmud, and that it may be comprehended in these 20 words: the Romans came from Esau, who is Edom, the Italy and Idumea Rome, the Basra of the Hebrew prophets. All right, and the Basra of the Hebrew prophets don't end well, because they're going to be ruling at the end of the world, which proves that Christianity completely and totally lies when it says that the Edomites have been done away with. That is a complete fabrication. The Edomites have not been done away with. The Edomites are the ruling class people on the earth today. All right, point blank, period. All right. So that's about it. I presented the evidences and made the point. So with that, I'm gonna give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Bakakadash, Wa Kwam Yasharala Shalom.